we'd like to sincerely thank our Patreon supporters. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am with my good friend Chris, and well, Emily, as soon as I turned the camera on, she ran away. So I don't even know if we're gonna get to see Emily, but we're at their house, and look at this beautiful cayman.
This guy's name is Derp. He's coming up on 2 years old, so he's still growing. He's gonna get a lot bigger than this, but he's in a little bit of a cantankerous mood right now, but he's pretty calm for a cayman. Most of the time you see these guys, they're pretty spicy. This dude is actually captive born and bred, so he never really had negative interactions with people, which is a really positive thing, and has allowed me to kind of create more of a unique and good bond with him. So he's a little bit easier to interact with. He likes some jaw pets, which you can do. I wouldn't do this with the wild-caught cayman, but with the captive bred one, you can give him some pets. He'll still try to bite you sometimes, but when he's in a good mood, once he's out, he's normally pretty good. So this is my...
he's beautiful.
Yeah, he's my favorite out of the reptiles. Beautiful. I love all of them, but the crocodilians, in my opinion, are some of the coolest just because of how ancient they look. These guys' scientific name is actually Paleosuchus palpebrosus, so the Paleosuchus part means ancient crocodile. So
okay,
they have that very prehistoric look, which is really cool. So it's pretty neat, and they're much smarter than you'd think. They're really highly intelligent animals. This guy's actually trained to come to a certain call for food. So every time I feed him, I do a specific whistle, and even if he's asleep under the water, when he hears the whistle, he'll come out and kind of position his head up to eat, and then I feed him, and I just through reinforcing that habit over and over again, it makes it safer for me. When he doesn't hear the whistle, he knows he's not getting fed.
Yeah.
And then when he does hear it, he knows he's getting fed. So it's
smart.
A cool thing.
Smart.
So
maybe I need to do something smart like that.
Yeah, you could probably do it with monitors too. But he's my favorite little buddy here.
He is awesome. So no, Chris and I, how long have we been talking? Because we were talking quite a long time before you moved down here.
Yeah.
And then you finally said, it's going to be a couple more months. I was like, all right, yeah, let me know. And then he's like, all right, we just got a house down here. We'd love to meet up. And I'm like, I just moved to Okeechobee.
Yeah, I probably messaged you about a year ago.
Yeah.
First time, I would say. And when I messaged you, we were looking for places, and then we found a place that happened to be 2 miles from your house, probably from your old house here.
Yeah.
It's 5-minute drive away, and then he moved right when I moved in. So it we just missed each other, but we were still able to hang out.
You were really proactive with your planning on moving here, because you had to find the right property for your permits, and you got all your permits ahead of time, because he requires a stricter permit than what I have for my monitors.
So all crocodilians in Florida are either classified as class 1 or class 2 animals. So class 1 animals are the biggest and the baddest. So things like full-blown crocodiles, black caimans, stuff like that. Class 2 is a little bit less insane, but still crocodilians, so things like alligators, and then the rest of the caimans, which are much smaller. So this guy's class 2, and in order to get a class 2 animal and keep one legally here, you need to have a property that's at least 2.5 acres. So that, right off the bat, made it difficult for us to find a house. So,
not just difficult, but expensive in our area. I mean, it's a whole lot. I mean, you really have to love this little guy because you spent a lot of extra money. Yeah. Because otherwise you wouldn't have needed such a big crop.
He is the only animal that I need the acreage for. So just to keep him, the 2.5 acres was a requirement.
2.5 acres, you're making kind of a joke about it because he is more than content in this amount of space. And you're required to have all that property, but the animal's enclosure doesn't require a certain amount of square footage. Yep. That was kind of the joke about it.
Yeah.
Because really, this is a lot more gracious than what a lot of people will keep them in small aquariums with a little high ground area or whatever, similar to what you'd have a little water turtle in.
Yeah, one thing I was kind of joking with Jerry about is how crazy the laws are. Up in Pennsylvania too, as you see these people who walk into an expo and they're selling Nile crocodile babies. So it's, for $300, $400, you can buy a juvenile Nile crocodile, which one day is going to get, 20 20 feet long and weigh somewhere in the realm of 2,000 pounds if it's a big male.
Oh,
and
God.
you need no permitting. They have no prior experience. They just get literally like the biggest crocodile in the world, basically.
And that's the kind of stuff
yeah.
that hurts us, I think, in the long run. Because we need to be smart about our choices, and we don't need a situation where there's a whole bunch of animals up for adoption piling up because they're too big for us to care for. You need to be smart about what you're getting and knowing what it needs now and what it needs 15 years from now. And you got to have the time in your schedule and your life to give the animal the care it needs, and the financial aspect to buy the extra big piece of land
Yep.
because of what its requirements are. Like, it's you just got to be smart about it. I'm gonna have a lot
Yeah.
more to say, but I just don't. There's actually a lot of animals here, so I would like to get through. We can come back to him. We can
Yep.
finish on
Yeah, for
him.
sure.
But as the water's all filtered and circulating. So cool to watch him walk. Now, what happened to the end of his tail?
So when he was a baby, his brother bit his tail off.
That's awesome.
So he's probably right now at his size missing about 4 inches of length. So he would be a little bit longer if he had the full tail intact, but it doesn't really affect his life at all.
It kind of looks better stubby like that.
It makes him look a little bit stockier, like the whole.
Is that how he got his name, Derp? Was it part of that part of it? Or?
So he got the name Derp. We got him, and where he was bred, he was kept on just like a couple inches of water, just so he could barely submerge his body. And when we got him, I had him in water that was more like probably 8 to 12 inches deep.
Yeah.
So he had never actually swam. So when I put him in the water, he like panicked a little bit and like kind of did this whole thing and freaked out, and that's where he got the name Derp, because he was so derpy in the water. So now he's, he loves the deep water now, and he loves hanging out. But
He's under there swimming.
he's really cool.
Kicking off.
Yeah, so in the wild, these guys actually live in streams and creeks, not so much big ponds and lakes. So they're from the Amazon. They live in smaller, faster moving water, which is one of the reasons I like to have a big filter on it that kind of kicks this water around us a little bit more.
Yeah, I see that the water's
kind of
moving really nice around his little sand island where he can bath and get his sun, and you can see where he walks. He's got himself a good little path where you can see he slides up there and gets his heat. Nice little heat lamp there. Very cool.
Yep, so that's Derp.
Filtration systems, that's something that I'm going to have to learn about when we start doing something with the albinos, because I do want them to have some sort of a filtered water feature. And we've got a black dragon in this large enclosure, which we've already discussed is tucked back into the corner here. We've seen black dragons.
Yeah, you get it. You know the drill with those.
I just want to stop and say that, like, when I said that I wanted to come over and maybe film, and he's been asking me to come over. He's been excited for me to come and check out his collection. But when I said, oh, I can come and film tomorrow, you said, like, well, everything's a mess. It's not ready.
It is a mess.
But I think what's really cool is we're coming and seeing his collection. We're seeing how you've rushed, like, your house isn't even moved into yet, and you've set all your animals up, which shows how much you care about them. But you're also building outdoor enclosures. Like, I want to see where he starts and see where he finishes, because to me, that's a big like the building and the problem solving. And while I'm talking, I'm looking, everything is labeled in here. The animals, every little enclosure has a really good label on it, which Emily did all this?
Yeah,
Emily, all the labels?
my girlfriend is like, she's an artist and also a very organized and neat freak person, and she's a teacher, so she has all the laminating materials and stuff, so she wanted to make labels for all the animals.
And it helps me because I don't look like an idiot and say, oh, is that a tree python? I can read that and know that that's an emerald tree boa. To me, I don't pay attention to snakes a lot. I've owned a lot of snakes in the past, but if I'm not fully involved in something, like, my mind kind of just exits and dumps all that information. I don't know why I'm like that. But you were saying that this pattern is a little different or
Yeah.
less usual.
So
I mean, it is beautiful.
So there's two kinds of emerald tree boa. There's the northern emerald, which is Corallus cananis, and then there's the Amazon basin emerald, which is the Corallus battesi or battesi, however you want to pronounce it. So the emerald, the Amazon basin emeralds normally have more white than northern. So when you see a northern, see these crossbars right here?
Yeah.
You'll have those crossbars without the line down the center.
Okay.
The basins, the main difference is that they'll have white down the center of their whole body for the most part. So a normal amount of white is typically one scale length of white, so just one scale down the back, or maybe two will be white.
Yeah, that is what I'm used to seeing.
So you can see with her in some places, like over
I'm looking
here,
for where her head is. She's got
her
it
head's tucked in.
really tucked in and hidden. Oh, look at that.
So you can see that here you're approaching some places where it's 10, 15 scales of white, which is very, very rare for this snake. So she's extra pretty. She's really nice. A lot of people will say that emeralds are extremely kind of territorial, very defensive.
Don't they have more heat sensory pits?
They do. So if she flips
to have
her
the ability
head
to
around, you can see those
strike
holes.
a bird flying by or
Yep.
a bat or
So you can see all those holes in her face, which let her see infrared, basically. So at night, these guys don't rely as much on their vision, but they rely more on seeing kind of heat signatures move.
she would love a perch right up next to my bats, I bet you.
Yeah, she probably would. So their demeanor changes a lot during the day and at night. So during the day, they're very sleepy. They're nocturnal animals. So when you wake them up, they're kind of relaxed. At night, they're in hunting mode. So if I wave my hand even by this cage, she'll kind of jet her head around and freak out.
Oh, yeah,
like she's
way
gonna try to
more
eat me.
alert at
So,
night. Because
yeah.
then she's using those heat sensory
Exactly.
pits.
Yep. So if you're gonna get an emerald and you want to interact with it, don't do it when the lights are out. That's the
Since
only
you're so
thing.
full of knowledge, what do they call those heat sensory pits?
I don't know.
They call them heat sensory pits?
That's what I call them.
Okay.
I don't have any fancy
I thought he
name.
was going to have the scientific term for it.
I don't have any fancy name for that one.
A Kenyan sand boa. Now, is this the one that's that pinky orange and
Yeah.
brown color? So I used to own these. I
Yeah,
used
so
to
this
have-
guy was a rescue, actually. He just shed, which is good.
Yeah, I see
So
the
he's
shed.
doing well. That's his first shed in Florida. But this guy was at a big box pet store, and the manager of the store ordered him because he'd never seen one before, and he wanted to see it. And he didn't know how to take care of it. So this guy was a baby, and he had not eaten in over 3 months, which for an adult snake is not a huge deal, but for a baby snake, that's not good. So this guy was extremely skinny.
I want to stop you and say I totally remember doing this when I was trying to prove to my friends that I didn't have an empty enclosure with nothing in it.
Yep.
This is
There he is.
There we go.
I found him. He's under the thing.
Really fun when you can feed them pinkies or mice when you see it moving on the surface and it actually trying to hunt from underneath the sand.
So he's really mean, so he's going to try to kill me probably. But this guy's my little rescue. He's very ungrateful. He does not like me at all, even though he was not doing well at the store. Oh
yeah, I
there
saw
you go.
that. Almost strike. Well, now there's no. See, well, I had something different because mine had some patterning, strong patterning. Oh, it's
Yeah, you can see
there,
some of the
slightly.
orange. Yeah, he's not super vibrant, but he was not going to make it at the store. He was actually my second snake, so I had my ball python first, and after I got my ball python, I thought I was done with reptiles, and then we saw this guy who was on death's door. We had to save him, and then that sort of started the snowball of, let me keep getting these other animals, because I figured out I can actually, take care of them properly. So
Very cool.
that's him. We'll let him go. He's a cool guy. I love watching them just
Disappear into the sand. Gone.
I'll even this back out for him so it's nice and deep.
That's what the legless lizards or glass snakes that we have down here. It's actually a legless lizard. Disappear into your lawn when you see one.
Yep.
They're just underneath
that's
the grass and they're gone.
Yeah, owning a sand boa is kind of like owning a pet box.
When
because
yeah.
you don't really see them.
Put some little succulents in there and
Yeah, that's
cactuses
true.
and have it pretty. Now, right in the middle of the room, we have a group of 3 Aldabras
Yep.
that you got from Sam.
I did, yeah. I got these guys from Sam about a month ago. And this is very temporary. I'm building an outdoor cage for them. So hopefully within the next couple weeks, they'll be outside full time.
This is not permanent for when they're 600 pounds?
No, yeah. Yeah, they'd probably fill up the thing fully.
Yeah. We know it's temporary.
So these guys, sadly, one of them actually got a respiratory infection after I got him from the stress of the move, and then he gave it to the other one. So I've been giving them antibiotics every 48 hours, so they're still on their antibiotic cycle. So they're doing well, though. They're still eating. They're still relatively active.
And just so you know, you guys are looking at the poop on the ground. He hosed this out this morning when he knew I was coming over. So this has happened in the 2 to 3 hour window in between that phone call and now. So this was a spotless enclosure.
Yes, it was.
And so it gets daily cleanings. I don't want to show you tortoises that are covered in poop. These animals are cleaned daily.
Yep. Yeah, they're very messy. They kind of go to the bathroom and then they walk in it. They pee and then it gets wet and they drag it all over the bottom. And then there's one tortoise, my favorite, this guy, right here. He likes eating his friends.
He was about to raise up. He was definitely.
Here, I'll get him to go. He's the most personable of the 3. So he likes the back scratches and the neck scratches as well. So maybe if I. Yeah, there you go.
Hydraulics.
Yep. It's awesome that he's this young too, and he already likes it. I know some Aldabras when they're younger are a little bit more shy, but this guy out of the 3 is awesome.
That's my mom's Kahlua. That was just like that out of the box.
So
Super. Well, Sam does a wonderful job.
he does.
He's an amazing person to buy from. I would almost go as far to say, even if you could purchase the animal for the same price off of somebody else, I would support Sam. He's a wealth of knowledge for the life of the animal, and he loves the animals. When you talk to him, you can see the love he has for his animals, and he's just a great person to do business with.
Yep.
And to just know in general.
Yeah, when one of them got sick, he actually offered to take it back and nurse it back to health and then give it back to me for free. So I chose to keep them because I want to learn, as time goes on again, I want to be prepared to take care of them.
And you have to know how to do that.
But yeah, Sam's a really, really great guy.
Oh, and so there's an Argentinian boa in here?
Yeah, so she is my favorite.
I love the labels. I sound so smart here.
She's my favorite snake. So her name is Luna. And
no, I think that's what my buddy Lawson
cool.
has, Lawson Hopper, and he just had babies.
Really?
He did a pairing. It's a she?
Yep.
Beautiful.
So these
really
guys
beautiful.
Are my favorite species of snake since I got her. So I wanted a boa, but I wanted something that was a little bit more unique. So I saw these guys at an expo that I went to, and I started talking to the breeder, and these guys get a little bit bigger than your standard BCI boa. So they're a little bit more terrestrial than the other boas. So like boa imperators and the true like boa constrictors, the boa constrictor are kind of semi-arboreal, so they'll hang out in branches sometimes, in trees. Mm-hmm. These guys, as they get older, will spend almost all their time on the ground, so they're a little bit more heavier bodied. So they get a little bit thicker, they get a little bit longer, so she could top out around 10 feet-ish and probably weigh somewhere in the realm of 40 pounds. So she's gonna get pretty big.
Yeah, I've seen some big boas before.
And she's awesome. She, to me, is my most intelligent snake from what I've observed. So she loves, like you can see I took her out without a hook, which I don't normally do with the other snakes, but she knows when she's gonna get fed. To me, she's the only one that really kind of enjoys coming out. Like if I try to put her back, sometimes she'll rear her head around and try to stay out, which to me is, showing me that she likes being outside the cage, which is a really cool thing. And she enjoys interacting with people. She's just really cool, and it's been amazing to see her color change. So when these guys are born, they're almost completely like a slate gray. And then as they get older, the whites get whiter and the darks get darker.
Gosh,
so
I mean, it's almost like a reddish chocolate brown and white mostly.
Yep.
The detailed labyrinth-like pattern on the front of her head is so cool.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She is beautiful.
So her parents are jet black and white.
Oh, wow.
So as she gets older, it'll just keep getting
I should also stop and say that Chris, and it was your friend that was at the reptile show with us? Kyle. So not the day we filmed at the Daytona Reptile Show, but the actual day before. I spent the day with them walking around, and one of the booths that we were most intrigued by was all the different boa morphs that I wasn't even aware of. I probably would have walked past them at another show thinking that it was another ball python booth, because not that the ball pythons don't just blow me away. There's just so many different color morphs. It's almost overwhelming to me, and not till like you made me stop and say, look at these boas, and then I was like actually realizing that they were boas. There's some insane color morphs.
Yep. Yeah, it's just starting to, I feel like boas are very underappreciated, and that's saying a lot because there are a lot of people who have boas. But
there used to be a lot more.
Yeah,
like,
they're one of those
used to be so many people you knew had big boa constrictors.
They're
and now,
really smart. They get big, and they're just really cool. So it's one of those things where if you want something that's one step kind of up in size from something like a ball python with a little bit more personality.
All right, I don't know. The camera made some beeping sound, and we both said, oh crap, were we not filming? Like, why did it just beep in the middle of filming? I don't know, but we caught all that film. So I guess we're gonna put her back, and then we got Peely, the ball python below that. We don't need to pull Peely out.
Yeah, you've seen it.
Unless you really want to pull Peely out.
Peely's ideal day is sitting in the same spot and not doing anything.
Hey, we got Rufus, the Ackie monitor.
Yeah, so Rufus is
I really do need to do labels. I really like the labels.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's not super personable, but he's been enjoying this enclosure.
Yeah, he's got a real pretty enclosure.
A lot since he's gotten in here. I had him in sort of a temporary like taming setup back in Pennsylvania, so he didn't have as much substrate.
I see his tail. He's curled up in that back corner. I can see his tail.
Yep, I see it.
Curled in there.
Yeah, he loves this deep substrate, so a lot of people who want to get into Ackies don't necessarily think about, those are grasshoppers.
Grasshoppers?
For him. Yeah.
Okay.
So they don't always think about how much substrate they really will use. This isn't even that much. Like, you really should have at least 8 inches, which it probably is around 8 in the very back. I kind of stacked it up so the glass could close in the front. But these guys love to dig in kind of a 60-40 soil sand mix, which has been perfect for me. He sheds great. And he enjoys digging and hanging out in his burrow. So,
can I just tell you, the whole time we're doing this interview, that is a really pungent, warm, grassy poop smell from the Aldabras. Like it's a nose full of it the whole time.
Yes, it is. I try to open the garage during the day to kind of air it out and make sure they have fresh air. And then what I've noticed is every night I'll come in here and close the garage, and there's about a 5-inch cane toad that comes in during the day and then will hide in the garage.
What an ideal place to hide.
Yeah. So
what do we have in here? This is the only thing not labeled. Or it's probably labeled now.
Yeah, there's a label over there. I haven't attached it yet. So this is my Mississippi map turtle. She's freaking out. But she is my oldest reptile by far. So she is probably around 15 years old now. So I got her when I was very young. I was probably 10 when I got her. She's awesome. Sadly, when I was little, we didn't really know what we were doing. And back then, you kind of go by what the pet store tells you. So she never had really the home that she deserved. But now that I've, over the last couple years, I really started researching more and more. I hope to one day build her like a big pond just for her somewhere in the yard.
You have a pond.
Yeah, but fence in, make sure she can.
Let's fence it in.
Yeah, we could do that, and then Tubi, her name's Tubi. She could get a.
Dude, yeah, we're gonna go.
pond
We're gonna go
outside,
check out this
so.
pond. It's got a really nice pond. So what I just took from that was, and again, this screams like how dedicated you are to your animals. First reptile, you said?
Yeah, one of my first. Yeah.
But albeit a stepping stone animal, you kept her. You made the commitment to have her, and you kept her, and you're just going to keep improving your care for her for the entirety of her life, and that's very respectable.
Thank you. Yeah, this is again.
I like
this
to
is
see
super
that.
temporary. I want to give her an outdoor mansion eventually. So this is just for now. I had to kind of prioritize when we moved here, getting the animals set up before I could get myself set up, because I can live on a couch for a while, but they can't live without at least some semblance of a home. So
You've done a lot in a very short period of time. You really have.
I have tried. I appreciate that.
Well, let's go look at this outdoor enclosure, and there's a giant monitor in the backyard, right?
Yeah, it's actually a Komodo Dragon out there. I have a very special permit.
Can't wait to see. All right, so we're walking into the backyard.
Yep.
And now we just did that video at Carl's house, and we saw his version based off of our enclosures, and you somewhat based the construction off of this.
Yep, a little bit. Yeah, so this...
All right, look at the size of that mosquito. Can you guys see that?
Get him before he bites you.
Oh, he's biting me.
Nice.
Like that's Florida.
Yes, it is.
That's Florida for you.
Yeah, so this is loosely based off of yours. I need to cut the excess screen. I just got it up there because I had a friend over. But
You drink bottled waters?
I do. Yes, I do.
How many do you drink in a day? Because
I probably drink 8 bottles a day. I would say I drink a lot. I'm very hydrated, so I'd say probably 8-10 bottles a day.
Now, this is for the Aldabras?
This is temporary for the Aldabras. I'm screening it like it's for monitors, because eventually I'll put my monitor in here.
Okay.
So I'm building it to spec for a monitor, but it will house the Aldabras until they outgrow it. And until the monitor's big enough to come outside.
All right, so just like Carl, we see the 1x1. You didn't trim this yet. You're gonna trim it with the cutoff wheel?
Yeah,
before you strip it?
Yeah, my buddy was over and he was leaving. We didn't have time to trim it before we...
Well, I have some of the corral boards in the back of my truck, so I could show you what I use, and I just ripped those boards in half.
Got it.
For the long strips.
Perfect.
All right, so I don't know what was happening with the other camera. It was burning up hot, and I don't know if we got that footage or not. So we are back at the outdoor enclosure.
Yes,
that is going to be for the Aldabras first, and then a future enclosure for your black dragon as it grows up.
Yep.
So you're building it to accommodate both. And we were discussing how you were securing the ground.
Yep.
For, I guess, to stop things from getting in at your tortoises and them potentially getting out. Aldabras aren't really known for digging that much.
Yeah, they're more pushers
than
diggers. But for this guy, what I'm going to do, I wanted to dig the whole thing down and then sink these into the ground. But because of that big pine tree next to us, there's a ton of huge roots everywhere, so I couldn't dig it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay screen across the whole bottom. I'm going to cement the perimeter, and then I'm going to fill this with about 8 inches to a foot of soil. So it's actually going to be raised up a little bit, and I'll have a little step into here.
Okay, I like that. That solves the problem for both animals, and you could probably get a couple pieces of sod and try and get that established for the tortoises to have the grass in there.
Yep, I want them to be able to graze
for a certain period of time until they just work right through that grass.
It will not be long.
Then you can have a door, and you can always, when you're outside on the lawn, let them impact all of this massive yard. Remember, he had to get 2.5 acres, or they had to get 2.5 acres for them to explore. Is this a mango?
I don't know about that one. That one is over there for sure.
Yeah, I think this is a different type of mango.
The leaves look mango-y to me.
Mango-ish, yeah. There's definitely a bunch of different type. Wow, that almost looks like an avocado too.
Yeah, it could be.
Because there are definitely different avocado leaves. So he's got some good fruit trees on the property. You guys are swingers? Oh, I saw a swing set, so I was.
Oh, that kind of swinging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he think I was talking about?
I delve into that kind of swinging a little bit sometimes, not the other kind. But here we have the pond. This is one of my favorite things in the whole property that we have. It's like a fully natural pond.
I'm glad you feel that way too, because I don't know, for a lot of people maybe this is boring, but I'm drawn to water. Yeah, I've always wanted to have a pond on my own property, and so to me this is awesome. Is this for wood ducks?
I don't know. We have had some baby ducks, so
I think it's for wood ducks out here.
It could be. That was there when we got there. Yeah.
It is a little low, but
yeah. So this is like fully natural. So when it doesn't rain a lot, it gets lower. When it does, it gets high.
It looks like you've got some good depth. And
yeah.
I saw what could be a fish's bed, that little sandy area right there.
Yeah, I've walked around. You'll see a lot of little clearings that the fish make for nesting and stuff. And the water's actually, it's clearer in person than it looks. You
nice
can
little
see
bass already.
Yeah,
so
right there.
Can I bring a fishing rod over here? And you said there was something big splashing in here. Do I get to find out if there's some big bass in here?
You can find out. Just let them go, please.
Little brim
We'll
I
keep
see
'em.
popping up. All right, we need to get a can of food. We need to start feeding the brim.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Because I have a feeling you, just like me, would start looking forward to it. Like I love feeding my fish now.
For sure. Yeah, one cool thing too here that the prior owners told us about this pond, and they showed us a video. There was a wild otter that
will come in here and
this
feed off
pond
the
is
fish.
part of his like territorial rotation. So every couple months, or whenever he feels that
Come
the fish
through
are
and-
big enough again for him to eat, he'll come through, clear it out a little bit, and then move on. So they've seen an otter kind of swimming in and hanging out on the brink of the edge.
Absolutely beautiful. Really healthy lily pads.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. This was definitely one of the biggest.
Now, did they have some
selling
sort
points.
of water circulation or something? Like almost looks like a little water runoff waterfall or
It
something.
does.
There.
I don't know. They told us that they never did anything for the pond. They just kind of left it, and it's like totally natural ecosystem. So I'm not sure if they ever had anything. We were thinking about, I know you said that your friend had a fountain in his.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I'm trying to.
I might be pursuing the idea of a bubbler because I think it requires less energy to push air than it does water. But I was curious, if we walk, I'm sure you have basilisks along the shore of your pond.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch in the mango tree actually. The first day we were here, there was one basking, probably a 2.5 footer. It was huge.
They're definitely not limited to the water, but I just have a feeling, I think when we get to those rocks, is that what I see sitting on one of those rocks? Yeah, I see the face of one basilisk. We might get to see one run across the pond.
Oh yeah, I see
I'm
him.
focusing on him right there. It's a little one. Oh, he's gonna let us get right up to him.
He is.
All right, guys. Look. Oh,
there
there we go. He hit that tall grass and lost his momentum, so we weren't gonna get to see him swim across the pond. Almost.
Next time.
Well, I bet you if he made it out there, that guy could definitely get eaten by a big bass.
Yes, he could. Or whatever else is in here, because I have a feeling that there's something bigger, possibly.
You think that there's a gator in here
I
sometimes?
think there might be. We've heard some big splashes and seen some big ripples, and I feel like it's definitely possible. Because
Well, you just gotta come out here at night with a good flashlight, and if there's an alligator that's in here, he's gonna. I would also suspect the basilisks to be in here. But,
yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to be exploring on another day. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those Cuban anoles. I'm sorry, night anoles.
Yep.
In this tall tree.
There's a lot of them here now.
This
right?
is an invasive tree in Florida. This is a eucalyptus. I don't know. That term invasive gets thrown around so much, but anything that can spread out of control and take over areas without being planted seems to be a problem, especially like in important areas like the Everglades.
Yeah,
so,
especially when you have areas that are so hot and humid. I feel like that's a really good.
But if you got a koala
Yeah, just come out here and pick them.
You'd be in business.
That is true. It's a good idea.
All right, on to the next feature. All right, so we're walking up to this structure that's on the property they purchased. You guys have no plans to own horses or ride horses or anything like that?
No horses for a while.
It's not a plan, but you were talking about emus.
So the emus have been kind of a pipe dream for me. So this area right here, actually, this long little run would be great for them to kind of open up and, you know, sprint up and down, and would definitely be enough space for at least a pair.
Absolutely. But this building would have been somebody's horse stall. They have the stalls there. This could turn into an amazing reptile building, because you could build off of this and have some outdoor just off the front of this, have outdoor areas, and then also an inside area where they could pull into during the winter. And then even that back area, I think that area could be the enclosed area for the emus, and that could be all of your interior cages.
Yep.
You could have them all in that one area, and this would be, this first 8 or 10 feet deep would be the winter area for the monitors or animals that are outside here. This structure could be amazing for reptiles.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Just
of
an idea.
There's a lot of potential for sure. And most of the animals that I have don't get big enough to go outside. So like the Aldabras obviously do, the monitor does, the cayman does. But besides that, most of the snakes will likely be in, you know, more kind of like an indoor setting. So if they could be here,
you're not so far into that build where that can't be moved. You're not so far.
Yeah.
Just planting that seed that this is an awesome area. And as much as I hate cutting any pines down in Florida, because I don't know if you guys know about the pines that we have down here, that they only, it's the right word, germinate?
Yeah, I think so.
With fire. So the reason why you don't see baby pine trees popping up through their yard is that it technically needs fire to germinate. So you have all these trees, but because Florida isn't naturally burning in the dry season, which would control all the undergrowth and all the other plants that technically don't belong here. The palmettos, the pines, and the oaks can even handle the fire to some degree, because they actually do a really good job of shading their area and not having undergrowth that fuels the fire. So really there's not much underneath the big oaks, so they can stand it. So I hate cutting down pine trees, because now we also, because there's less and less pine trees, we have a pine beetle that's getting into the pine trees, and you'll start seeing this pine beetle taking out pine trees one at a time. You'll see just pine trees dying randomly. But all that aside, if you did remove this one pine tree, most of all these other plants, the chevaliers, these small palms, could be relocated on this property. There's some cocoa plum, which is a native plant, really beautiful plant. I love cocoa plums. I'd like to get a whole mess of them onto my other property along the fence line. You could build those cages right off of here.
That's a good idea.
It would be a cool area.
It would be awesome.
And there's probably already electric out here. There's already electric out here.
There's water, there's electric. There's
beautiful.
Already fans if you had horses.
Beautiful.
Or emus in my case. So there's all that.
You could have security cameras off the house, like everything. Yeah. It's keeping everything all in one area. I like it.
Yep. Yeah, we had those cameras installed mainly because we're gonna have animals outside, and I didn't ever want anything to happen to them.
But I won't think any less of you if you don't do it. I'm just saying that's where my mind
it's a good idea.
When I saw the structure.
It's definitely a very good idea.
All right, so we are gonna finish this video on his biggest monitor. All right, well, I promised you a Komodo Dragon, his biggest monitor lizard, and here he is.
Look how tame he is. He's a nice guy. He lets you pet him on the head.
His tongue doesn't move.
No, he stays in this position most of the time, actually.
Most of the time?
Yeah, he freezes around new people, too, so you won't see him move at all. He's really good at staying still.
Now, am I safe here?
You might want to stay a little farther back. I don't know.
Well, I'm not in the way of his tail, but he could definitely sprint and get a good bite on me.
When he goes, he goes. So.
That's really cool. Oh, God. And there's an alligator sneaking up on me.
That's Derp's cousin.
Derp's cousin?
Yep.
All right, so he doesn't have a Komodo Dragon, but still, Where did you find this guy?
So this guy was actually in an antique shop that my best friend's parents were visiting in Virginia.
I'm sure that antique shop was very proud of this.
They were.
They were.
So they had some sort of deal with Euro Disney, so Disney over in Europe, and this guy used to actually be one of the outdoor, like, not exhibits, but one of the outdoor statues in like a walk that was in Disney.
So I'm willing to bet, since this was at a Disney park, that kids sat on them probably right about here, and this tongue has probably been replaced multiple times.
Yeah, so it comes out.
Yeah, they probably had a box of spare tongues in the back.
They definitely did. They absolutely did.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I think someone else in one of the monitor groups just got maybe a stone one or some other large Komodo Dragon statue that I saw posted. And you guys, of course, you have to have alligators in your pool in Florida. That's
absolutely.
I think that's it for today.
I think so.
A lot of cool animals, a lot of cool potential at this property, and I can't wait to see what it's like the next time we visit.
I'm very excited. Yeah, we just got here 2 months ago, and we've already kind of hit the ground running, I hope at least. So.
And just like I did to Kenan, now he's got to knock down this enclosure and then move it over there. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have to.
But yeah, I'm really excited. A lot of, like you said, it's a lot of potential. The land is awesome. And I hope in 20 years you can come over and there'll be 3 giant tortoises kind of roaming the yard, and all the animals will be huge.
And if there's any other swingers in Jupiter Farms, Chris and Emily, look for them.
Only those.
Yes.
You can only use those.
Swing set swingers.
Other swingers, stay away.
All right, guys. Until next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. See you soon.